Alrighty, so today we're going to be talking about the evolution of seeking knowledge and IBM's Watson. So the introduction to this is starting at the beginning. It's in classical antiquity, individuals got answers from divine figures like oracles and priestesses who offered insights that were believed to be spiritually guided and culturally contextual. They got their ideas and insights from human experience. Versus today, supercomputers like IBM's Watson provides answers through data analysis and AI, which emphasizes that speed and accuracy over that human insight that we used to get. What makes him powerful? Him being Watson. This is a fun image from Jeopardy where people were playing against Watson. So Watson uses advanced natural language processing, NLP, to interpret and respond to human language, breaking down things to extract meaning. And it can analyze a large amount of unstructured data, being text, images, audio, etc. And it uses statistical models to identify patterns and generate hypotheses. Its win on Jeopardy highlighted its ability to handle things from multiple domains, so being puns, trivia, things you would see on Jeopardy, and reflects that high performance in that NLP. Watson is used in multiple different industries like healthcare, finance, as well as legal industries for different diagnostics, data interpretation, as well as customer interaction. And then this is just a good infographic of kind of how Watson is used when you are given a question and going along how it comes up with the answer. The limits of Watson, what are those? So despite its capabilities, Watson lacks the comprehension. So it can't detect things like nuance, tone, sarcasms, or metaphors. Responses are generated from data correlations, not intuitive or conscious understanding. And limitations arise also when data is biased or ambiguous, which in turn affects the accuracy as well as the relevance. Watson's ability to simulate conversation does not equate to understanding meaning in the human sense, so it lacks awareness, empathy, emotion. This infographic on the left is an example of what we as humans feel emotionally and how we can kind of come up with this. Joy, we can feel hope, love, optimism, all of that. With joy can also come anxiety. And kind of how everything intertwines. And it's an example of what Watson doesn't feel, can't understand. Ethical and practical concerns behind Watson. So, AI systems like Watson are influenced by the biases present in their training data, which can lead to discrimination in the outcomes given. So, over-reliance on AI can also negate human decision making as well as critical thinking. So, today, in today's age, you hear a lot of teachers complaining about their students using AI and how it's negating their critical thinking skills. So they're not developing these critical thinking skills like people used to without the use of AI over reliance on it. There's concerns about data privacy, consent, and transparency in how the decisions are made with Watson and AI. And when errors occur, accountability is unclear, which raises question about AI trust. Here's an example of human-centric AI and how the risks are black box models, privacy, bias and discrimination versus requirements from AI. It's transparency, privacy preserving algorithms, algorithmic fairness, things like that. These philosophical reflections. So, ancient oracles represented shared cultural and spiritual understanding. Their insights were embedded in lived human experience. So, what they experienced is what they taught. Unlike AI, they kind of interpret things of they're not really experiencing this stuff. Watson, while powerful, lacks the human context shown above. It processes that data, but it doesn't understand the meaning or intent behind it. Philosophers like Dreyfus argue that intelligence requires embodied experience and implied knowledge that machines lack. It also raises key questions about what it means to know something and the role of AI in replacing and or complementing human thought. And this is just a good example of the brain is powered by IBM Watson. So how is IBM Watson like a brain? And it kind of shows each little thing, cloud, digital engagement, big data, dynamic infrastructure, business services, things like that. The future directions of Watson and AI in general. So advances in AI aim to improve understanding of context, emotions, and intention through learning as well as multifaceted inputs. Explainable AI, or XAI, is growing field focused on transparency and user comprehension of machine reasoning. So it's growing these things, and it's transparency and user comprehension of machine reasoning. So these things are being focused on that to grow in different ways. So ethics and interdisciplinary perspectives are increasingly included in AI's development to align with those society's values. Rather than replacing humans, AI is expected to act as a tool that makes human capabilities and insights greater. It's no longer going to be the crutch for people. It's no longer going to be their go-to when they can't figure something out, when they can't think of something, and that's all they use. They don't use their critical thinking skills. It's going to be a tool that makes things better and stronger, not who you are. And then on the right, this is just a brief history of artificial intelligence, and it kind of shows throughout the timeline how it has evolved and developed. And, it keeps on going. There is no stopping it. Technology only advances. And then going on to the conclusion. So IBM Watson represents a leap in AI's ability to process and analyze language-based data. It lacks, though, the deep understanding that human cognition offers. So looking back at that emotional chart of what the emotions that we can have as humans, it lacks that. Like the people of the past, our use of AI must be guided by critical thinking and ethical ideals going into it. So we must have critical thinking, and we must have ethical reasoning behind it, and those ethical morals in the back of our mind when we are using AI. The path forward includes using AI to level up our strengths while making sure it serves our human needs and values. And then these are my sources. Thanks.